Do you own your own business, or does it own you? If you're ready to take back control of your life, kick the crap out of your way, shorten your learning curve, design your own version of success, and claim your entrepreneurial freedom, then you're in the right place. This is Do Business on Your Own Terms with your host, Bob Holdsworth.
Hey, welcome to Do Business on Your Own Terms. I'm your host, Bob Holdsworth. And today, when is enough enough? So today's show is going to be quite enlightening and a little bit of inside baseball, if you will. I have talked a very special guest into being on the show today, my wife, Jennifer. Hi, Jen.
Good morning.
Yes. So I wanted to have Jen on this week's show for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, she's the one that asked me the tough question that became the catalyst for all of this. When is enough enough? And secondly, every show and interview I've ever heard is always about the entrepreneur. I've never heard commentary from the spouse or significant other's viewpoint about what it's like to live with an entrepreneur, especially a crazy one. So it should be interesting to see how things go with this today. A little background about our business and our relationship. Jen and I have worked together for 24 years. Was I supposed to admit that, honey? That seems like...
Has it been that long?
Blissful. Yes, it has. We've worked together for 24 years. We've been married for 20. We have survived so far twin 15-year-olds, boys. We actually survived building a house. And we still do like each other, right? You still like me? You haven't killed me in my sleep or anything, so...
It varies from day to day.
Yes, I understand. Don't make me tell the 2 o'clock in the morning story. And I say that because according to experts, each of those things is likely to cause a divorce or a homicide. And so far, we're still married and neither of us has attempted to kill the other one. So, Jen, the question that you asked me, this when is enough enough, was about 10 years ago, if what feeble memory I have left serves me right. So the guys were about 4 or 5. Tell me a little bit about the events that led up to you. You called me out. You basically came in and you watched what I was doing, and I was telling you my latest, greatest idea, which you and my other business partner, Tim, love it when I walk into a room and go, hey, I've been thinking. Both of you cringe, run for the hills, or grab alcohol. That's pretty much it. So I was telling you my latest and greatest idea about what we were going to do. And I think we talked about this. We were sitting at a convention in Marco Island, right?
Right.
And Tim and I were all excited about telling you what we were going to do next. Tell the rest of the story, kind of as you remember it, because this is kind of important because we're all excited and we're coming to you and we're in a beautiful place in Marco Island, and you pick it up from there.
Well, I remember thinking, you were so excited about the newest shiny idea, and thinking we're in a really beautiful place, beautiful location. In life, we were financially in a great spot. We had 2 beautiful children, had a beautiful home. Actually, we had 2 homes, one up on the beach in Wells, Maine. And all of those things I was enjoying with our kids, and you were missing out and not taking the time to enjoy what it is you had achieved. And that brought me to, when is enough enough? When does it stop? When can you stop and enjoy what you've accomplished? And so that was what brought me to that question. And then I was at this conference in a beautiful area, a little paradise, and I was there by myself, essentially, because you were jumping from meeting to meeting. And so that's kind of what was in my mind when I asked that question.
And I think that's probably the case with a lot of small business owners and entrepreneurs. Even when they take a vacation, and I know that that's the way I was, and you literally did. You called me out, and we kind of talked through, and it took a little bit of time to kind of extricate ourselves from one of the businesses that we had, but we changed the way, or at least I changed the way in which I was doing business. I wasn't traveling as much. We were more selective about which clients we took. And then it took a few more years for us to work through, extricating ourselves from the medical billing company. And again, part of that was, again, family driven, right? We've made a decision about how we want to live our lives. And would you say that we've made the changes effectively at this point?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we have some great family quality time together. The phones go off, so it's not constant emails and phone calls all night long or all weekend long for the most part.
I do love that part.
So yeah, I think
there is something therapeutic about putting the phone down and not answering it after a certain hour.
Well, and I think it's important too when we're trying to teach children, especially 15-year-old, limits. And when they see our heads in our phones or responding to emails all weekend long, all night long, they find nothing wrong with, although they're not doing business, social media or what have you.
So what do you say to the entrepreneur? If we were at a cocktail party and there were 3 or 4 other business owners who say, oh no, I have to be on 24 hours a day and I have to, answer the phone whenever my client calls or else I might lose that client. What would you say to that person?
Well, I think that a life balance is important for somebody to recognize. And at what cost? Being on 24 hours a day, something is going to suffer. And chances are that's your home life or your family life, your kids, your spouse.
Yeah. And one of the issues that we have in the series is called Knowing Your Why. And in that, I talk about my why. And my why is Jen and my kids and our family time. And I talk in that episode a lot about what it, where you have to draw some lines. And the reality is I have to thank you for calling me out and making me draw those lines because, when you're knee deep in it, you sometimes don't see it. You get excited about what's going on from day to day. And I think we all, as entrepreneurs, we all do that. But it takes, someone in your life to sit back and give you the reality check, or in this case, the reality slap of, excuse me, there's a sunset and a bar in Marco Island. Would you shut up and enjoy it, please? I think that's pretty important. So if I'm a typical entrepreneur, and I think I am typical. I started from, a rented computer and a card table in my house and expanded out to what we built, which was, collaboratively you and me and the team built a multi-million-dollar business. If I'm a typical entrepreneur, what's the toughest part of dealing with somebody like me as the spouse, as the significant other?
Well, first of all, to be the spouse.
Be careful now.
I have found I'm a very patient person and I have a great sense of humor, which obviously we've been married for 20 years. So
yeah, you would need a sense of humor.
That's pretty obvious.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't make it easy now, do I?
There's always ideas going through your head. Your constant nonstop ideas and great ideas. But I think having patience has been definitely a benefit for me.
So what words of wisdom, if you were meeting, again, we're back to a cocktail party and there's a couple of folks there who are married or significant others. And one is going to be starting a business and the other one is not necessarily going to be involved in that. You were involved in it. The business was 6 years old when you joined the firm. Because it started like I said, we've been working together for 24 years. The business just turned 30. So it was in play when you came into that. What words of wisdom would you share to both the entrepreneur and their significant other about how to get through 24 years of the ups and downs of running a business and especially either working together or not working together and, being on the receiving end of a full day's worth of fire hose. Look what I did today when the person comes home. What would be the words of wisdom besides patience that you would give to those people?
For that couple to determine what is really important and how they envision their life to be, and then striking a balance between work and family and other outside activities. And sometimes it's really hard to keep that in perspective, which is why we always try to think back of or remember why we're doing what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have a life balance. You cannot put all of your time and effort into just work year after year.
Agreed.
If you really want entrepreneurial freedom and you want to be able to do business on your own terms, you have to start by taking action. A great place to start is by grabbing your complimentary copy of Bob's 8 Steps to Freedom. Go to oyot.com/8 steps and claim yours today.
There's an old saying, it's actually going to show up on the back of my business cards, I think, when I print them next week. And it says, being an entrepreneur is doing things for a few years that other people won't do so that you can live your life, as other people can't. So I think there is a period of time where you kind of need to kind of go all in and understand that. But I think in my case, I think I took it too far. There was always going to be another thing, and you say bright shiny objects, but and we've had those discussions. That, yes, and well, I'm still susceptible to those. You know that, right? That.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That's not going to change. You just have to keep hitting me like a piñata when those things pop up and say, "Yeah, I'm not going to do that." But I think you hit the nail on the head. Why are you doing what you're doing? And one of the things that we talked about, and a couple of other people, friends of ours that we've talked to, growth and expansion. Are you growing and expanding your business because you want to grow and expand the business, or because that's what you've been told that you should do? Now, right. in our case, we held a business at about a 2.5 million, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5 in that ballpark. We made a conscious decision that we were going to level off and keep that business at a certain point. And we kept it there for pretty close to 12 years. Mm-hmm. And the reason that we opted to do that was because the only other way to grow it would have been a whole lot more traveling time for me and family and being away. So do you have any regrets that we did that? That we decided not to grow the business and we kept it at the level we kept it at?
No, not at all. In fact, I don't think we probably would be sitting here having this conversation had we not made that decision and followed through with it. Especially before the boys came along, we worked side by side and we put a lot of effort and time, missing out on a lot of family activities at that point. But I think we made that decision to level things off for the benefit of our family and just for the benefit of you and I. And I think it was a great choice.
I agree with you. The other part that was interesting was when we did sell the company, the selling price of the company was based upon the fact that the revenue had been so consistent for that period of time. We actually were able to prove to the buyers that they were buying something that had significant value and that they could anticipate, fairly stable revenue. So what we did for our family, and the reason that we made the family made the decision that we made, which is in an episode that I call being ethically selfish. We took care of our people, we took care of our clients, we took care of ourselves, and we were selfish about what we did and didn't want to do. But by making that decision, we actually made the ultimate sale of the business easier. So there is a side benefit for all the entrepreneurs listening to this that are saying, yeah. Everybody wants to see growth. If my exit strategy is to sell the business, actually what they want to see is growth and stability, and we proved that point. So,
stability.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple things that we talk about. Again, when is enough? And when we sell products and services, a lot of businesses will go out there and they'll sell what we call lost leaders. They'll run around and they'll go to appointments. And you and I had this discussion just last night. I have been offered a potential contract to go out, but I have to go out and do a dog and pony show to potentially get it. And it's almost a lost leader. It's give up a day, go out and make a presentation. And I'm still having to determine whether or not I really want to go audition for this job or not. But a lot of people sell lost leaders figuring, they'll get something down the road, or they sell legacy products and services. And we made some conscious choices going through this that we were going to start chopping off certain services and certain products that we were selling. And I don't think it hurt us at all. Do you?
No, I don't.
You know,
I don't. I think it was more of a benefit to us.
And it set us apart as, and one of the things that we were approached all the time, we were in the medical billing business and we specialized in being in the ambulance, billing for ambulance service. And we were approached routinely by some of the governmental agencies asking us to take other types of practitioners. We were asked to take on dentists and doctors and other physician groups that were problematic. And we routinely said, no, thank you. And I think that served us well. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Because I think it set us, we became known as experts in a particular niche. And because of that, we were able to do what we had just talked about, which was kept the stability and things like that, rather than trying to be all things to all people. And that's another lesson for people listening in here is, knowing your why, knowing when's enough, but also knowing what, it is that you're going to offer. And again, there's another episode talking about what business are you really in. So we were in the medical billing business, but we were in the ambulance portion of the medical billing business. And that it was important to differentiate us and separate us from people. A couple of people, as you're listening to this are going to be saying, I don't know if that's going to work for me. And, my company's different. And I hear that all the time from entrepreneurs. I was like, yeah, but you don't understand. My company's different. And I have to work 80 hours and I have to work 7 days or the clients won't follow. And one of the things that I did early on, and I've talked about it in another episode as well, but I did something called Boys Day with the kids when they were born. Why don't you tell people about your perception of Boys Day? Because you have an interesting twist on this, the way you tell it.
Oh, Boys Day was every Tuesday. I would go off to the office and you would get to spend a fun-filled day with the boys, unteaching them everything I had worked at all week long.
I beg your pardon. Did you say unteaching them?
Teaching them. Yes.
Whatever do you mean, Jennifer?
But the boys talk still to this day about Boys Day, and they have some great memories. And we were very fortunate, and they were very fortunate that you had the ability, and we're willing to do that. A lot of people have the ability, they just choose not to.
Yeah, it was interesting to have customers come up and say, I wish I could do that. And my answer always back to them was, why can't you? There's nothing special, right. But we just decided we were going to do that. And to prove a point, when people say, it's too busy or I can never do that. The clients eventually, and it didn't take very long either, actually supported it and endorsed it and embraced it and thought it was cool.
They loved it and they liked hearing about it too, Oh,
that's true. What did you guys do yesterday? I went to the airport and we watched Airplane. Yeah. But there are a couple of companies, Stephen Covey's company, Hobby Lobby, and Chick-fil-A, big companies, and they're not open on Sundays. So this whole idea of you have to be open, 7 days a week and you have to be, these companies have made a conscious decision, just as we made it on a smaller scale. So you can craft your business the way you want it to be. And the clients, if you offer good quality products and services, the clients will not only adopt it, they will embrace you almost as, and I say this tongue in cheek, but almost as folk heroes for actually bucking the norm. You just have to communicate why you're doing it. So I think it's very important. So I'm gonna wrap this up a little bit. First of all, thank you. I know you were a little reluctant to come on and do this, but you did awesome. Yeah. So thank you for coming on and being willing to show a little dirt on me. It's always a lot of fun. But as we're wrapping,
I've held back.
I am well aware, and I'm sure it will cost me in the long run for that. So. But for those of you who are listening, you want to wrap this up and just think about this. Are you growing your business, running your business, doing the business that you're doing because you're in the way that you're doing it? Are you doing it to prove a point? Are you trying to impress family members and your college buddies and how much stamina you have or how big you can grow and what size house you can have and how big a pool and all that kind of crap? Or are you doing it because you're trying to grow it to a certain point because that's what you and your family have decided? So make that choice based on what it is you want to do. Go back through some of these other episodes. Go back, get 8 Steps to Freedom. take a look through that, think through what you really want. And remember that, hearses don't have trailer hitches. So, he who dies with the most toys just has a whole pile of toys and is still dead. And I don't think anybody's ever going to say at the end that they wish on their tombstone it said, I wish I spent more time at the office. So ask yourself what you really want. And more importantly, Jennifer's question, when is enough enough? So, Jen, thanks again. I really appreciate you doing this because I don't think this perspective has been shared with a lot of people in the past. And again, I appreciate you being along for the ride all the way through it and appropriately kicking me in the ass when necessary.
It's been fun.
I'm sure it has. And this is going to cost me a whole new pair of pointy shoes just for the future. Yes. So until next week, thanks for joining us here on Do Business on Your Own Terms. And until next week, remember, if you're going to do business on your own terms.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.